Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode. We're titling this one, I'm a Believer.
I'm a Believer.
Give them a little bit of taste what this episode's about.
So this is sort of inspired by, we're talking about Peter Stormare's performance in Constantine as the devil and how it's like an underrated acting performance. And then we threw it out to the Facebook community and said, you know, and there was a lot of agreement that it was, but then people started talking about what performances really made them realize that an actor was better than they thought or had more range than they thought.
Right.
So we thought we'd pick some of our own since we're having so much fun doing it. Plus, we happen to catch Spontaneous, so we're going to do like a spoiler-free like review. At some point in the episode, we didn't pre-plan it because Spontaneous.
Hey, there it is.
there it is.
There it is.
Right.
I'll be spontaneous.
All right.
Should we talk about spontaneous?
Let's
No,
do
we
it.
got to fill them in on what's been going on this week.
Yeah, whatever you want to
George
do.
is
Let's
getting
be
a cat.
spontaneous. Yes.
And that's not spontaneous.
That is not spontaneous. That is somewhat planned, but King Louis is arriving on Sunday as we record, so we're about 3 days away from.
I can't believe it. I'm so excited for this kitty.
I am so excited. I cannot believe like how much personality he's conveying.
Did you see the story?
I saw the stories. I saw the videos.
No, what happened today?
Oh,
where they
no,
couldn't
no.
find him.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he was eating. Yeah,
Yeah, they couldn't find your cat, your soon-to-be cat.
soon to be cat.
And for 20 minutes, they're like, "Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?" And then they heard the bag,
rustle.
the rustling and the bag of dry kitty food. And he was in there chowing down. That is the
He
sign.
was in the Sarlacc pit of not despair.
He's gonna be. He's gonna have like the orneriness of a Gatsby and the hunger of a Daisy.
Well, he's gonna fit in perfectly with Maestro because that is the most Maestro move I've ever seen a cat do.
They're gonna be
Cats
like,
aren't usually food motivated, so like
which is weird because our cats are definitely food motivated.
your cats are definitely.
They are tempted by temptations, like the little cat treats. Like if they like that commercial, like it's no joke.
It's true.
When
They
you
do.
rustle the bag, they are like, "Oh, what? Is it time to eat?" In fact, every night, like I'll take some like allergy medicine before I go to bed, and that's where we keep the Temptations. And our car keys are on there, so that jingle happens, and they've associated that jingle with where we keep the cat treats.
That's crazy.
So now I have to give them treats.
So you have them trained to.
No, they've trained me.
Well, they've trained you, but when they hear car keys, now they think
They think it's time to eat.
it's time.
Well, I also want to tell the listeners, because I was doing it, the Insta stories while we were watching it. Speaking of cats, we finally watched Cats, like the movie.
You did. I haven't seen.
Yeah,
it.
you didn't watch it, but like
Right.
we wanted to watch it on HBO Max a couple months ago, like when it came out.
Of course.
Like during the pandemic, we're like, oh, it'd be fun to watch and like make fun of.
That's what everyone did.
Yeah, we started making fun of it because it's like it's weird. Like it's really
No shit.
It's like it's weird and like kind of hard to look at.
Yes.
But like I'm not gonna lie, like after a while, like my eyes just kind of got used to it.
Oh yeah.
Like it was kind
Well,
of
that's how it works.
it was
right?
kind of weird. Like there was like
Have your eyes gone back to normal, or do I look
yeah,
like a cat?
like if we were to like put on a random scene from Cats again, I'd be like, there it is, looks really goofy. But there's a part they have like some big ball or whatever it is. I forget the name of it, but like at the end of it, like Alex felt me like tense up, and she was like, "Did you like that part?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was kind of."
You guys are monitoring each other for
Yeah, I'll be honest.
who's on board.
But I'll be honest. There was two good parts in Cats,
Okay.
which I was surprised because it's Cats, but like the music's like.
Well,
not
I mean,
that bad.
it's for a Broadway production. The music should be good.
Like they did that song "Memories,"
Right.
And woo, buddy, I haven't felt that way since the Be Our Guest during the Beauty and the Beast live action. Where like at the end of it, I looked over at Alex. and was like, "Why is that so good?"
Andrew Lloyd Webber got you.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Well, you like Phantom too,
I
right? Or no?
do.
Yeah.
I loved
So
it.
you like Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Yeah, I always thought I hated musical theater. Alex is like, "Do you like musical theater?" I was like,
Wait, what's the other part that's good? Because everyone likes Memory.
the Jellicle Ball.
Oh, the ball.
The ball.
Whatever.
There's also Ian McKellen's in it, and he meows a few times, and we laughed because it's really like it's like there's parts that just completely take you out because it's so weird. But then he does this song about like how he's this old Broadway cat, and like he clearly only has like a couple of years left,
Sure.
and it was like really sad. But it also helps that just it's. I mean, part of it is because you're looking at Ian McKellen's face, and Ian McKellen's a great actor. But then Idris Elba, who's great, takes off his like pimp coat, and he's got this like short cat fur, but he just looks like a naked cat with Idris Elba's face. It was the weirdest.
What the hell?
It was so weird.
See, this is why I didn't watch it. This is exactly what I feared, was that it was going to be really, really strange. Not like fun bad, strange bad.
There was strange bad.
But you're saying it was fun, sort of good, somewhat.
It at like 2 parts.
Oh,
the rest of it was pretty. Like,
so
like
it's 2 hours and 10 minutes of bad.
Well,
5 minutes.
I'll be honest with you. Like, if they hadn't done that weird CGI and they had to like characters, like Alex said, if they had just CGI'd like tails and like put them in cat costumes,
Right.
The problem is that they did a lot of like really cool dancing, but the fact that they were animated like bodies, it made it look fake. So
Right.
you didn't get to see like how good these people were actually performing.
Right.
Which kind of
Well, the cast is incredible. Like, it should have been right.
There was one part though where I looked at it and I just went, "What is happening?"
See, the problem with Cats for me is Hamilton. The fact that Hamilton exists screws up Cats for me.
Oh,
It's like, why didn't you just do Hamilton? Like, I didn't think I would like filmed musicals. I feel like a musical Broadway production is something you have to go and like be in the theater and have the theater experience, right, to like enjoy it. If you film a theater Broadway production, it just feels like you're in the like you're. It's like the last row in the stadium looking at binoculars at like the Super Bowl.
But yeah.
Right.
Well, they did it right,
And it's a filmed musical, basically. Like,
Yeah.
what other filmed musicals do you enjoy?
So do you mean like when they filmed the stage or like when they made it?
Like
movie?
whatever Cats is. Like,
Well, they did it with Phantom of the Opera,
right. Sure,
and that was good. That Patrick.
Do you think Sweeney Todd is like Cats? I'm trying to place where Cats is.
No, Sweeney Todd feels different. Like, I don't know why.
Because they're both Broadway, right? Or no, I don't.
They're
even
both
know.
plays.
I don't know.
They're both plays. I think
so.
Sweeney Todd's Andrew Lloyd Webber too, right? Maybe.
Probably.
I think he did everything.
He did,
I'll tell you this: the worst part
he
about
did
Cats
everything that wasn't done by the South Park guys.
or Sondheim.
or that guy.
No, the worst part about Cats though was James Corden. Like I just don't like that guy. I just don't like that dude, man. I really don't. It's like the worst kept secret in Hollywood that he sucks. Like, you know what I mean?
I love that there's a bottom of the barrel of Cats. Like that's
even Andrew Lloyd Webber came out.
Didn't like it almost.
Yeah, it's like he's like, I hate James Corden. And I'm like, right on, brother. Solidarity.
If everyone hates James Corden, why is he so like popular?
I don't know. It's like those Logan Paul, like the Paul brothers. Like,
why are they
popular?
Yeah, although it's starting to happen, right? Where like some people their popularity is like rising. Like wasn't it the SNL guy went after him, and all of a sudden everyone.
Oh yeah, Pete Davidson. Yeah,
they were like, that's good.
I think people just like love to hate. Like there's some stuff. There's some stuff. Like I'm very positive, but like there's some things that I can just hate on, and like I'll be a player hater, and like it's fun. You know what I mean? Yep. But like I don't know, James Corden just sounds like this.
This is a great segue into acting performances we appreciate.
Hey, you're right. You're right.
We were like, we hate everything now.
All right, so and now
here's some great things. Well, we'll take a break. We'll get our positivity back.
There we go.
Right?
I was trying to put in a break here without sounding unnatural. So I'm like, break.
We'll take a break. We'll get our positivity back, and then we'll tackle some great like.
That sounds good.
Acting.
Little change the gears. All right. Actors that actually reminds me of a pickup line. Did you fart? Because you just blew me away.
I saw that somewhere actually.
Recently. Yeah, that's an old one. That's old.
No. I know it's old as shit. It's just the fact that I recently saw that is kind of weird that you just said it. Weird coincidence, like in fart deja vu. So this is acting performances that remind you that someone's great, or someone has range, or someone is better at horror than you suspected. You inspired me with one of your picks. I was skeptical of your pick, and then I reverse engineered why you picked it, and then I added a pick of my own in the same line, and I was so happy you said it.
Also, I'll start with that pick, the one,
yeah,
and then I'll explain why. Because it's as soon as I say it,
because people are going to be expecting us to say people like whoever the John Cazale of horror is, right? That's the guy who won.
Who's John Cazale?
No, they're usually not that. He's the guy that every movie he's been in won an Oscar. He's the guy in The Godfather 1, 2. That guy. You always see him as a meme or like whatever. No, it's the opposite. They're expecting us to say someone. like a Tony Todd, right? Where people were like, he's not that great an actor, and then he turns in a great acting performance. You're like, oh, Tony Todd's got range, right? They're expecting something like that, but that's not the way we're taking most of this. So go.
But
explain why.
There's no deep cuts.
You steered us a different direction.
All right,
which I enjoy. Let's do it.
So let me just get the name up there so people can get their
Indeed.
thoughts and feelings out of the way here. I'm going with Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
And let me explain why.
Yes.
Okay. If someone said, "Hey Nick, do you think Patrick Stewart's a great actor?" I'm going to say, obviously. I know that he has a big career. I know he seems like the kind of guy that's done a ton of Shakespeare. I'm assuming.
Indeed, he has.
Right. Okay. But from my experience, from what I saw,
right.
I only know Patrick Stewart from 3 things.
Yes.
X-Men as Professor Xavier.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Star Trek, which I didn't really watch as a kid. It was always like what came on at Nickelodeon, like
yeah, you're too young for that.
Yeah, and
you just missed the Next Generation.
And I never really got into Star Wars or Star Trek either.
Right,
so
right.
I knew him from that, and then the only other thing I knew him from was from a one-off episode of Frasier when Frasier thinks that Patrick Stewart's into him. They think like they're gay, and he's gonna take him on this lavish trip like all over the world. And Frasier's like, "I'm not gay, but I can go to the Bahamas with this guy, or someplace fancy." So he's like weighing the options. So those are the 3 places.
First of all, I am so excited that one of the ways you know Patrick Stewart isn't the Emoji Movie, because that would have been devastating for me.
See, I forgot that movie even existed.
Right.
But
so I'm glad that you at least got like some of that. But so to you, Patrick Stewart is someone who does a decent job as Professor Xavier or whatever.
Yeah, great job as Professor Xavier.
And then you don't know him from anything else really except for a one-off. So
yeah,
when you lo and behold, you come in to watch Green Room.
And then I was like, oh, shit.
And you're like, my mind is blown, and he's playing a villain, which is not how the way you know him.
Yeah, I was like kind of toying with the idea of like there's been like comedians who play like the dark roles, like when Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo was a big one. Jim Carrey in like, was it Room 23 or like Number 23 or something like that? Where they do these dark roles.
Yep.
And they're good. Like they're really, really good.
Totally.
But there's
Robin Williams was awesome in Insomnia too.
But there's something about Patrick Williams. I'm thinking of. I think the Conjuring 3 trailer came out today.
True horror fan.
The devil made me.
The devil made you say Patrick Williams.
Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
I mean, he's just really good in them. And what's funny is he's not like overacting or doing anything like that. Like it's a very minimal like kind of thing. Like he's just a shitbag. He's just a shitbag Nazi. But being that like when I was a kid, I was going to bed, I would see him as Picard, like presumably doing good things for humanity, and then as Professor Xavier doing only good things,
right?
Seeing them flip the switch, and then there was never a chance of him not crushing it.
Right. But he crushed it.
Oh, absolutely.
And he probably crushed it in a way that took you by surprise. It's probably not the performance you would have guessed.
It was one of those things where like you hear a big name attached to a horror film, and you're like, I wonder why they did that, because they never really do that.
They don't really do.
And then you watch the movie and you're like, that's why they did
right. It's not like Hellraiser Bloodline starring Jim Carrey. They just do that.
That'd be so.
They don't do those
unless he was playing his character from The Mask. That'd be hilarious. The Mask fighting off Cinnamite.
He was scary as Cat in the Hat or whatever he played. So
that was Mike Myers
or Grinch.
The Grinch. Yeah. Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. So okay. So you think the performance was good? It was scary. You like that he underplayed it, right?
Yeah.
And then what about like what was he doing with the character? Like what did you learn about the character from what he was doing? Because when I was watching it, it was fascinating to me how he was steering people. It wasn't the way I would have expected it. He had to do less to steer the characters in the movie. Than I would have expected you would have to do.
So this is weird.
He would just like go over and say like one sentence under his breath to someone every like 10 minutes, and everything just kept functioning.
He was Nazi Picard.
He was.
That's exactly what it was.
He absolutely
he was. Instead of commanding a crew of people trying to explore space.
That's right. He was a commander. I didn't even. Oh,
yeah, he was just guiding these Nazis into doing shitty things.
Wow. So he was making sewing and like.
You know what? Maybe I should take him off the list because now he's just. No, I'm kidding.
No, it was incredible. It was everything that movie deserved, because that was a great movie with a lot of great performances in it.
What I also liked about it was because it's Patrick Stewart. Like he has a look that like you can't really mistake him.
And a voice. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like that voice when it Just the fact that we got him playing a villain. Because, like, in old school Hollywood, and this is actually going to come up with one of my picks, so I don't want to, like, do a lot of this right now. As a matter of fact, I should just transition to this, whatever. But in old school Hollywood, you would get an actor come into a horror movie and play, like, a lead or whatever a lot of the time. There were eras where you didn't, but a lot of times you would. And it would be, like, a big name, right? It's not like whatever. Matter of fact, one of my picks is this. But... you know, the fact that he did it and then it didn't overwhelm the movie. That's the thing you're always afraid of when you bring in that kind of actor, is that it's going to overwhelm the movie, and that's all people are going to see. Is they're going to be, every time they see him, they're going to be like, holy shit. See, that's what happens to me with Al Pacino and Devil's Advocate. And I love Al Pacino.
Right.
But, like, he's so Al Pacinoing it up in Devil's Advocate. Like, every scene, I'm like... Al Pacino, like I never ever buy that he's the devil. I just think that that's Al Pacino
playing
like doing what he would think the devil would do in that circumstance. It just doesn't work for me. But so that's what I would think would happen with something like this. But this is not what.
No, he kept it calm, kept it cool, and kept it pretty scary. And you just wanted to kill him the whole time.
You did. You also hated him, which is good.
And that's not easy to do because a lot of times people are like trying to like be the character you hate. But, like, they're overcooking it like a motherfucker.
Totally.
But, like, because he's Patrick Stewart, he knows how to not do that.
Or they just got to force it. It's like literally force it down your throat. That's what they did with I forget his name, the hateable character in the Friday the 13th, 2009 remake. The rich idiot who owned the house and acted like an arrogant asshole.
Right.
Like, you knew you were supposed to hate him, but they were, like, so trying to make you hate him. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to like him.
Well, it's that thing. It's that thing that Alex and I always talk about. Like, the best villains are the ones who think they're not doing anything wrong.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so
and that's
smart.
what that was Patrick Stewart.
That's
he
so
was like,
smart.
it's like, what's wrong with my worldview?
He's just trying to get from point A to point B the way he understands it, and that's what part of what makes it so chilling, right? Yeah. Although he knows, like, that he's also corrupt as shit, right? Yeah. So that's part of the problem too. But yeah, anyway, amazing pick. Green Room is one of my favorite movies. So, are we have any more for him, or should I?
That's it.
All right, because I'm just gonna do the Hollywoods. This was not the one I was gonna do first.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Robert Mitchum. This is who you inspired by picking Patrick Stewart. Because here's the thing. I don't think horror fans... I think they know who Robert Mitchum is from Night of the Hunter.
Right.
If they know what Night of the Hunter is. And if they don't, they have no idea. They just know it as like a visual maybe, like something they saw. It's like the kids who are too young to have ever seen Psycho, but know like the scenes, right? So like they wouldn't expect Robert Mitchum, and this is why I picked it. So like I was thinking, well, what's underrated, right? Well, Robert Mitchum is definitely not underrated. He's a very, very well respected actor, right? Mm-hmm. But not by horror fans. Horror fans don't give two shits about Robert Mitchum, basically. And the thing that really fascinates me about it is horror fans, a lot of the times, big group blocks of them, or at least the ones that float up and argue with us with our movie taste, will think that the older movies are boring, right? They love them and they appreciate them, but they're not scary. They're just not scary. I keep insisting, like, Most Dangerous Game is scary. Nosferatu is scary. Like, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is scary. Like, those movies can still scare me in the right move, seen the right mood, seen the right way, like, whatever, right? Robert Mitchum is scary as hell in Night of the Hunter and scary as hell in Cape Fear. And here's the thing. He beat Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro took on that role in the Cape Fear remake and lost to Robert Mitchum. So round one, Robert Mitchum versus...
That's an old school actor thing to do.
Robert De Niro, Robert Mitchum beats him. Boom, that's round one, right? Round two, the horror round, he plays Night of the Hunter, he plays a priest. So what's the scariest priest I can think of in horror? Poltergeist 2, Reverend Kane. Mm-hmm. Who's scarier, Night of the Hunter Mitchum or Reverend Kane? Robert Mitchum, scarier than Reverend Kane. Boom, no question. He's he's 2-0. Like, to me, his ability to actually like bring that old school acting like craft that they were using, fucking Gone with the Wind and Casablanca, but apply it to horror, like the way they used to do when you'd get like a Vincent Price level actor wander in to the horror genre, and you saw what like actual actors could do if they were doing horror, right? Yeah. But people forget, like, when horror started, like, John Carradine was like the snootiest actor alive, and he was playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like he would have been like the Daniel Day-Lewis of their time, right? But he was starring. It would be like, imagine like Daniel Day-Lewis in like Child's Play remake is how that would have like seemed, right? But they used to get involved with horror more back then, but not so much anymore. But when they do like those special moments, man, sometimes they can't do it because they're too Hollywood. Like, but sometimes like if they're really good, like Robert Mitchum was, they're just one of a kind. Like he's one of those people where I feel like if you were in the room filming the scene, you got to chill in the room,
right?
Filming the scene, right? So I think he's underrated for horror fans. So I'm going to give him for Cape Fear and for Night of the Hunter.
I was thinking like, are there any other names I would throw on here? And I actually think I have a double hitter with this one.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, but for this answer, yes. I don't even need to look on paper. I don't even need eyes for this one.
Okay.
So originally I was going with Sam Neill.
Yeah, which I'm excited about.
Mostly for
okay.
Now
he's an honorable mention.
Event Horizon.
Yes.
No, he's still on the list.
Okay.
But I was also thinking I could apply the same logic I'm using for this for Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, he is such a good actor.
And he is very talented.
He is such a good actor.
It stretches very far for that dude.
And unique. He's one of those unique actors, right? Like he's one of those people that no one else can be that actor. Right?
Yeah, in fact, I think I might. So I was gonna give it to Sam Neill because of like I grew up watching Jurassic Park,
sure.
and then he was also in that movie you like Possessor, right?
He was in Possession, which was, I mean, he was going toe to toe with possibly the greatest female performance in horror movie history, like of all time. It was like I mean, that cast is like 5 people, right? So it's like an hour and a half of like, you know, it's Ali Frazier, man. like those are 2 great actors, and he was, I mean, they're amazing at it. You can see why they almost cast him as James Bond.
He was almost James Bond?
Yeah, he was heavily considered for James Bond.
Wow. That's a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to switch it. I'm actually going to switch it to Lawrence.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Sell me on Lawrence Fishburne.
All right. First of all, if I could do his voice, I would just be like, Will Graves. Because anytime he said that in Hannibal, I was like, this scene's about to rock.
Totally.
So, okay. Let me connect these dots in real time. All right. I'm doing this on the fly. So I'm gonna go backwards in time.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the latest, which for me would be Hannibal.
Yes.
Back. We got Morpheus from The Matrix.
Indeed.
Well,
okay.
Well, when would be the time? So my first experience with seeing him perform would be in The Matrix.
Okay.
Which is Morpheus is fantastic.
And it's one of your favorite movies.
One of my favorite movies. Do I still got to give it to Sam Neill because of the thing? Okay, you know what? Lawrence Fishburne is the honorable mention because then he also did Cowboy.
Yeah, but true. But like, I think you're more excited about Sam Neill because I think you're more excited about the fact that the kindly like Jurassic Park dude scared the shit out of you.
We're gonna go that route.
In Event Horizon,
I'll throw Lawrence in the special
because he was terrifying in Event Horizon.
It was a big difference.
He looked like he had seen some shit
without
other people. Right, but he looked like he had seen some shit that other people hadn't seen, and that's not even counting In the Mouth of Madness, where he's fucking amazing, right? So like. I mean, Sam Neill is such a great answer. He's such a great answer.
And you know what? And it fits more for the thing because, like, I loved Jurassic Park, and then when I saw Event Horizon, I was like, oh, so the dude I love from Jurassic Park can be really fucking scary,
right?
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like, let me be a total heretic here.
Let's do
it. Watch me just get burned to the ground by all horror like fandom that ever hears about this, right? Because. If I had to remove one body of work, I had no choice. I don't want to.
Right.
But if I had to remove one acting body of work and it was Bruce Campbell or Sam Neill, I would have to get rid of Bruce Campbell. Sam Neill's performances are more meaningful to me across a wider span of movies, and they go deeper. Like Possession means more to me than any of the Evil Dead. As much as I appreciate and love, and Evil Dead is literally one of my gateway horror movies. Like, I have all that. Like, but I'm just saying, like, Sam Neill sneaks up on you. Like, you're like, oh, Sam Neill. He's like on Twitter. He's on a farm. He's like occasionally pops up here or there. You see him in the Jurassic Park hat, and you're like, oh, it's cute. And he does a selfie with Jeff Goldblum and like whatever. And you're like, but then all of a sudden, when I start thinking about his career, I'm like, wait a minute. His career is more essential.
He's got some chops.
Than like Bruce Campbell to me. So I just wanted to like.
Plus, I think he's going to be in the new Jurassic Park, and everyone was like, "Oh hell yeah!" Because it's Sam Neill. Like everyone's,
yeah,
everyone's gonna go.
Right?
There.
Why wasn't he there the whole time? What the hell were you thinking? Right?
Yeah, no, I think I'm okay. So I'm gonna stick with that.
That's
one.
a good. I'm
gonna stick with that one. I don't really have much to elaborate because I mean, if you've seen Event Horizon, it's just like it's so self-explanatory as to why.
Yeah, no,
you know?
I'm totally.
And if you played the Dead Space games too, which give off a very similar vibe, it even makes it more scary because you feel like you've been in that world. And then when you see him perform, you're like, oh, I could imagine being Isaac from Dead Space and coming across him and having to blast his limbs off. You know.
I'm telling you, man. He does like Possession 81. If you haven't seen it, it's almost like the Hamlet of horror, right? Like it's
really?
like yeah. And I don't mean like because Hamlet's the best play ever written, but like so it's not like it's the best movie ever done, whatever. But like actors think of Hamlet as like the ultimate challenge. So like to just be on a screen going toe to toe with another actor for the entire movie with you're just in rooms like with dialogue and a few props and to pull that off and make it intense and entertaining, like it's a miracle. He's a fucking amazing. It's a great answer. I'm enthused.
All right, I'm gonna stick with that one. I'm
more
gonna stamp it in.
Answer. I'm gonna switch gears here. I'm gonna back into this because the other two ones I'm going to say are connected, but the connection will become apparent in a minute. But I'm going to say Jennifer Jason Leigh. So this bothers me about Jennifer Jason Leigh, and like I have to be online for horror a lot, like for the stuff we do and like whatever, right? And you know how like it doesn't matter who it is. It could be the most obscure person on earth, right? It could be like Charles Lawton played like Dr. Moreau once, right? And directed Night of the Hunter, by the way. His only movie he ever directed.
Imagine that just being your one and done.
right? That's his one movie directing credit. But he you know, there'll be like a happy 132nd birthday to Charles Lawton or whatever. But Jennifer Jason Leigh just comes and goes. No one cares, right? So let me throw this pitch to you real quick. So Jennifer Jason Leigh, by the way, is the daughter of the late Vic Morrow of the Twilight Zone movie, right? So which I did not know. So she already has a horror like franchise connection, right? But let me just throw a couple of movie names at you: Single White Female, Possessor, Annihilation, Dolores Claiborne, The Hitcher. And she like a third of her credits are great horror movies.
That's pretty good.
Where is the horror love and I'm not even talking about Hateful Eight yet, right? Which is like, I mean, where she's insanely good, right? So like, but I think people think of Jennifer Jason Leigh and they think of her as like, like if that horror body of work, if you took that and that length of relevance, right? Like where she's in Single White Female, she's doing The Hitcher, like 70s and 80s like horror fans are like, and then you're seeing her like Annihilation just killing it in like 2 years ago or whatever the hell that movie was, right? Like I don't know, I find her career fascinating. I find the lack of kind of enthusiasm in the horror field for her fascinating, but the performance is Twin Peaks: The Return. Because in Twin Peaks: The Return she was paired with Tim Roth.
Oh, that's right, in the van.
Right. She was the killer. And they didn't get a lot of, because it was a real ensemble piece, right? So you didn't get a lot of any of the characters that weren't major characters, right? But they were both assassins. And it was kind of like the evil version of like the couple from Pulp Fiction, like Honey Bunny and like whatever, right? But like they're like cold-blooded assassins. But if you haven't seen this, Google Twin Peaks: The Return accountant scene. It is one of the most glorious things that's ever come through a TV into my eyes. It's like one of the greatest sequences ever shot. And she steals a lot of it just with her absolute cold-blooded exasperation, right? She is like she's such a wicked like way like her the way she says lines are like razor blades. It's really incredible. But the fact that she can be like a manic assassin killer, and then whatever she is in Annihilation, which is like, you know, everyone talks about Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary, right? Rightfully so, right? But like, I feel like this is the same level of performance. It's just no one ever talked about it, which is odd. Anyway, so I'm going to fight for her all day long. I think she's incredible. I think she has done incredible things in the genre. Don't see a lot of chatter about her, so I feel like a little more horror appreciation is like whatever. But if you haven't seen her get into a shootout with a rando accountant on a suburban street in Twin Peaks: The Return, then you haven't seen like whatever. But I'm just going to leave it with this because it's my favorite in her performance. It's my favorite moment. Because we are a horror podcast, so there's a moment where she's actually really, really chilling in this. The guy tells them that he wants the pair of them, Tim Roth and Jennifer Jason Leigh, to go kill this person, and then after that he says, and then I have a double header for you in Vegas, right? So he's like, I want you to go kill this person here, and then I got 2 more for you later, but you don't need details on it. You're gonna go kill this person, and Tim Roth's like, all right. I was like, all right, boss, let's go. You need us to go kill someone? We'll kill him. And then he goes, you want Chantal? That's the Jennifer Jason Leigh's character name. You want her to have some fun with him, you know, first, or you just want us to kill him? And then there's a pause, and then they're thinking about it, and then she just really sweetly, really perfectly behind them says, he'll sing for me. And it's so scary. Like, it's so scary. And what they end up doing to people is just absolute blood savage. Like, so like it's bone chilling that's how she thinks of it. Like, because it's going to be a lot of really intense screaming, but she hears it as music. That's nice for her. Great performance. Great actress.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to invert how we're going about this.
Okay.
So my next choice.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen them in horror movies. I've seen him in a few horror movies.
Okay.
But the performance that really blew me away, which makes sense because he won an Emmy for it. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Bradley Whitford. I
love this choice.
There was a couple months ago. I was on the Bradley Whitford train, dude. Like,
yeah, I know.
All right, so Bradley Whitford.
I love this pick.
For people listening, Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
He was one of the guys who was like controlling everything, and then I think like the most recent performance would be the dad from Get Out. He had that line, "I'd vote for Obama a third time if I could too," and,
Yep.
and you're like, "Oh, why would you say that?" Like, you said some racist ass person would probably say. Mm-hmm. But the performance that blew me away would be The West Wing. I know it's not horror, but I'm connecting.
It's fine. It's the question didn't say it was in a horror. It said,
dude,
which performance made you realize this person has chops?
He's so good in the West Wing. Like, we got up to like season 5 and like 14 episodes in. Season 5, if you don't know, is when Aaron Sorkin left and Rob Lowe left.
Yes,
and it's still not a bad show because the whole cast is great. Like, everyone, like Allison Janney, Martin Sheen,
right?
Like, everyone in there is really good. It just loses a lot of its like poppiness and like kind of charm.
Sure,
but Bradley Whitford is so good in all these things. He plays, I think his role is the deputy chief of staff, Josh Lyman, and he's a character, dude. Like, he like watching him. I actually was watching The West Wing when I think I had to start taking some calls for Pink Shark, our business.
Yes, and
I was like watching how Josh Lyman would go in there to meetings, and I'd be like, I wonder if that would work on a phone call. Turns out it does. Like, you just go in there and you just don't like try to. You just how to describe it. You just don't fake it. Like, you just go in there, be your real fucking self.
Right.
Talk to people. Don't pussyfoot around like trying to say what you're going to say. Just say it.
Right.
It turns out that's a winning strategy.
Totally.
Most of the time.
Right.
There's some times where it doesn't work, but he is just amazing. He
won
an Emmy.
Yep.
He won an Emmy in 2001. For that role, but everyone around that show was great, dude. Allison Janney as the speaker, or what's her role? She's like the Pisaki,
right? The spokesperson or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget the official title, but yeah,
the writers like
it's an amazing show, and it's weird that you came to him this way.
Yeah.
Because I think he's one of those people that actually got stereotyped by that role. I think that role
For real?
trapped him somewhat.
Oh, wow.
I think his career has been different because he had that role for sure. Right? Like there are some people who completely broke out of that. Like George Clooney, once upon a time, was typecast from a TV show, believe it or not. No one remembers.
Oh, yeah, ER, yeah.
No one remembers that now. But like it was everyone was like, oh, it's going to be so hard to picture him as not whatever the hell that character's name was, right? And then now no one cares. Like he's just George Clooney was on the screen,
Right.
But when Bradley Whitford comes on the screen, I still kind of a little bit is like, hey, it's the West Wing guy.
You see that? Oh, yeah, that's the dude from the West Wing.
Right.
You know what's funny is I don't do that with Allison Janney because I always knew her from like other movies. But like if I saw and Martin Sheen, but if I saw like anyone else from the cast, I'd be like, that's the person from the West Wing. Huh.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
really good in this role.
I just want to give him a quick props shout out. By the way, Allison Williams is one of my honorable mentions. The other actress from Get Out. So one of the moments that it's weird because I'm a weird person. I do these weird tests, right? So like if you surprise me, I like when people say movies. I love how movies just randomly come up in conversations. And when they randomly come up, I instantly try to, what is the first scene? I play this mental game of what is the first scene that pops into your head. If I hear a movie name, I'm doing it. So if you just come up to me and say a movie name, the first thing I'm going to do in my head is like, what's the first scene that comes up when I heard that movie name, right? So the first thing when you say, not Get Out, but the first thing when you say Bradley Whitford Get Out is just him standing really silently in the background, looking chilling as shit, like really approving while Allison Williams is lying her ass off to the TSA guy on the phone or whatever. But there's not even any dialogue in it.
Right.
But he has so much charisma somehow.
Dude, that's
like he doesn't have to say anything. He just all of a sudden looked really evil, which I didn't expect from him. And like there's other people in the scene talking or whatever, but he's what I remember. Is that weird?
No, he has very charismatic. Like the way I was thinking about it while you were saying that was like at least like in the West Wing, he has like the charisma and energy of like Deadpool. Like he's gonna pop up, say what's on his mind, do what he's gonna do.
Yes, and he's gonna subvert situations kind of the way the Joker does, but like benign way.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's like the benign version of the Joker, that character.
Yeah, no, so now, because we've been following him on Twitter for a while, but now when I see him, I'm like, that's the West Wing guy. He's really good. He's a really good actor. And his interactions, like, with everyone in the West Wing is top notch, especially, like, him and Martin Sheen and, like, the people who are, like, the writers for the president on the show.
Totally.
Like, everything.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't improv some of that.
I mean, he's talented.
Once they got away from Sorkin. Probably, they were probably improvising all over the place.
Yeah. So that's my. All
right. How many more do you have?
Third choice.
Are you done?
I have one more that I'm gonna fight for.
You have one more.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced I have two. I can just have one. Okay. So if this is the last one we're doing,
let's go for last one.
If this is the last one, then I'm gonna. All right. So honorable mention. I was gonna say Brad Dourif because holy shit, that guy in Deadwood is like acting in a level, in a cast that is like one of, I mean, it's HBO is one of the like premium creative sources of entertainment for American television for like the last, I don't know, 40 years or whatever, in terms of quality and pushing the edge and like whatever. And Deadwood is one of their top 10 shows ever. And he's just in there. It's just the voice of Chucky just randomly in this show, acting his ass off next to this cast. So anyway, he's amazing. But I can't have him be the ultimate one because I have to. So Twin Peaks: The Return led to Kyle MacLachlan, right? So Kyle MacLachlan, I think he's the true kind of definition of this question, right? Where everyone knows he did a good job with Agent Cooper. And then everyone else apparently knows him from this whole second life of acting in like shows that I never watched, like Portlandia and whatever other stuff he's
I'm surprised they don't know him from the first Flintstones movie playing Fred Flintstone's boss.
I don't know him from that. I didn't know he did that.
Interesting.
I don't know him from
Sex and the City.
I don't know him from Sex and the City. I don't know him from like stuff. I know him from Blue Velvet, The Hidden, and Twin Peaks, right? So like I know the horror side of him basically, but regardless of what you know him from, I don't think. First of all, I don't think when people think of David Lynch movies, they think of acting, and they should, but I don't think they do. So I don't think what people do. If people thought of acting in David Lynch movies the same, then Naomi Watts would be like one of the two or three highest paid actresses on the planet. But so he is a person who I think people think can act quirky and sort of benign and enjoy coffee, kind of what his actual persona in life is, right? But David Lynch came to him when they were rebooting Twin Peaks, and he asked him, "Can you play a straight up intimidating villain?" And the whole thing would rise or fall on whether he could do that. And he has not done that in his career. I mean, he was like possessed for 3 seconds at the end of the first Twin Peaks. Spoilers if you haven't seen from 1990. But so like, but he didn't, and he could be in his FBI competence and like quick reactions and his kind of like otherworldly knowledge. He could be intimidating, but never scary or a bad guy, right? So he has to play Mr. C, which is a villain, which is a stretch that he's, if you go to an actor and you say, if you go to like, Robin Williams and say, I need you to play a villain, and they pull it off, we end up talking about it on a podcast 15 years later because it's not easy to do. Right. So he nails the villain, but that's not even the end of it because he had to play Dougie. Remember Dougie?
Dougie was great in his little green suit.
So he had to play a complete blank slate innocent. He had to play the FBI character that's ranked one of the TV's most all-time greatest characters in every countdown you ever Google, right? So he had to reprise a character with all those expectations and pressure. Then he had to play a complete innocent blank slate character. Then he had to play a villain convincingly. And the thing is, if you're not convinced that this person has more range than you ever expected, go back and if you haven't seen it, watch the arm wrestling scene from Twin Peaks: The Return. Right. Because he plays this intimidating villain. And people use this metaphor in movie reviews all the time, like a cat playing with its prey. But actors almost never really pull that off. No. But he's doing that in this when he's doing arm wrestling.
Funny you say that. He's doing it against Jason Voorhees.
He is. Derek Mears is like, yes, exactly. So it's an amazing performance. But the fact that he hit a triple grand slam, whatever, like the mixed metaphor sports home run with a performance, like I find him fascinating because he doesn't seem like someone, if you sat across from him and you were like, tell me the secret to acting, he seems like the kind of person to be like, you just gotta go with your gut. Just follow your instincts. Like it just seems like, hope you get lucky. It just seems like you just hear him answering, like it doesn't feel like he's going to articulate some kind, but he's done it in the work, right?
He also makes wine now.
He also absolutely makes wine.
Bear something.
Pursued by Bear, which is a Shakespeare reference. It's Shakespeare's most famous stage direction. There's a stage direction where there's a character and it says exit pursued by bear. It's just
wow.
It's from a Shakespeare play. So he's a big Shakespeare.
If you couldn't love that man anymore, Jesus Christ. All right, so mine is mine's not as big as a crescendo as the Kyle MacLachlan. That would actually be the perfect place to end. But I want to give a shout out to an actress that I wish we saw more of. Okay, and I think we might with the Dexter reboot. But it's funny, we were just talking about her.
No shit.
The other day, Jennifer Carpenter.
Yes.
From Dexter. Yes. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So, I know The Exorcism of Emily Rose has got some fans in there. It was that 2006 era where every movie came out, I hated it. It was just, that's where I was in my life, guys. I was a teenager, right? You got to forgive me. Like, I was like Batman Begins. I never saw it. But I want to visit it.
Yes.
And this is, I'm not giving
it. It is amazing.
I'm not going to give this is the reason, because obviously I haven't seen it, but I do have two things I'm going to compare it to.
Okay.
But I saw Scott Derrickson.
Yes.
Derrickson. I think he directed it, and he was saying that there's a scene where she's possessed. She contorted her face so much that the MPAA was going to give it an R rating. So
That is
that's
such a great.
If you're able to make the MPAA change a rating of a movie from your fucking
With
face,
your facial expressions, wow, that's amazing.
to me, like I've never heard that before. Like
No.
that is crazy.
That actually makes a great trivia question for our page. All right,
That's a great thing. But I think I saw Quarantine first, and then I caught up on Dexter. But she just has this like really like comforting presence, right? Which is probably why I need to watch Exorcism of Emily Rose and see that carpet pulling out from under my feet. I just think every scene she was in, like even like when she was like interacting with Dexter, she would call him Dext, and like it had this like very comforting like kind of feeling for it. And so comparing that to Quarantine, where she is like the leading lady. I think Quarantine's one of those horror films that's a remake of a foreign film that actually is like on par with it. I think Rec still edges it out like a little bit for obvious reasons, but but I think Quarantine holds its own.
It's like the Let the Right One In, Let Me In kind of level.
Yeah, it's in that ballpark for sure. So I just really like her acting.
Dude, I'm with you completely. I honestly was like, when you were talking about it, Exorcism of Emily Rose is like amazing, but it's weird because she's one of those people where you were like, I don't want to watch Exorcism of Emily Rose because I don't want to have that feeling of, what she's made out of ruin for me. But she keeps that all the way through. That's part of why it's so terrifying.
I don't feel like it's going to ruin anything. I think it's going to enhance it. I just never got around to
Well, even when she's evil, she's sweet. It's so weird.
There's also like a lot of like weird exorcism films like around that time, like, or even like just weird kind of horror movie. Like that movie came out around the same time as like A Haunting in Connecticut, and like a bunch of these weird ones.
Oh yeah, it was the middle of a glut of
2006. You're not thinking like,
there must have been a scary movie entry where all of it looked like Exorcism of Emily Rose and Paranormal Activity, right? Like
and so I and it's not fair to judge it because I haven't obviously seen it, but after I saw that tweet, I was like, I gotta maybe check this, even though it's not in the movie,
right?
I just want to check it out because I'm like, well, if she can do that, the rest of it is going to be great.
If you can change a rating
with your
acting, that's
what I'm saying.
It's goddamn amazing. I'm totally for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So that's exciting. That makes me see. That's what I love about like trying to hash through questions like that, is because it makes me want to watch things. Now I got to go watch Emily Rose, which I haven't seen.
I would like to watch
years and years
for the first time.
Right.
And if they ever do like a director's cut, and put that scene in there, like then I definitely got to check it out.
Right.
Totally. Like how would you not repackage that? Be like
that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's like a dare.
You could lie about it like Texas Chainsaw. You could call it like the scene that got banned from theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Market it
the scene they couldn't show you.
The scene they couldn't show you.
It sells itself. The scene you haven't seen yet, apparently. You want to be spontaneous?
Well, we do we want to cut to? Well, we are very spontaneous this episode, but do we want to cut to some of the answers in the group?
Oh yeah,
before we get too far.
For sure, I have that saved.
You know what happens if you get too spontaneous? We don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your place. Do you have some pulled up?
Here, let me pull it up real quick.
I got it. Okay, so we had asked this question and we wanted to give a shout out. There's some really good answers to this. So the question, we phrased it as, what film made you notice an actor was better, had more range than you originally thought? So Amanda said, Mandy put us on notice that Nicolas Cage was back, all caps. I thought he'd clocked out and gone home years ago, but whoa, which is awesome. And a good call. And then Clark Baker said, I know it's not a film, but Matthew McConaughey and True Detective, true story. That was a really chilling performance.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
We got a Shauna McDonald in Descent 1 and 2, which is a hell yeah. Tracy said Tilda Swinton in Trainwreck usually plays cool, sophisticated, sometimes cruel women. She was brilliant as the brash, loud-mouthed, working-class chief editor. Loved every single scene she's in. So I am on board with that. I haven't seen Trainwreck, but Tracy, thank you. I will check it out because I am a huge fan of what she did in Michael Clayton, which is one of my favorite performances of all time. And then, hold on, the last one here was, I thought you'd appreciate this. I don't know how to say his name. Claes Bang from BBC Dracula.
Oh, was he Dracula? Oh, yeah. Dude. Can
you believe someone commented that?
Who was the name of that person again? We need to give them an extra shot.
Claes Bang. Remember, that was his name. The person who said it, I'll tell you right now.
Because that is a really good,
That was Alper Toy. Said Claes Bang.
wonderful choice. I mean, that show...
In the Dragon Limited series.
God, I haven't thought about that show in a minute. And as soon as I thought about it, all I can think about was how amazingly well done that show was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wish they would do more. That team was great.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so
What you got?
So Dylan
Yes.
Falk, he's been with us for a
Yes.
while. He said Ryan Reynolds in Amityville Horror,
Good call.
which would be true because around that time he was doing like the Van Wilder stuff, like
Yeah.
two guys, a girl, and a pizza place. That kind
no one knew.
And then Amityville Horror comes, and not only is it a good movie, but his performance is really great. I was mentioning Jim Carrey earlier.
Yes.
Sophie Houghton said Houghton. I hope I said that right. The number 23. Which I remember my friend saw that, and I was like, so what's the number 23 about? And he was like, I can't tell you. And I never looked it up. I still don't know to this day what the hell.
You got to keep it like that forever. Nobody tell him in an iTunes review.
Yeah, please.
What the number 20?
Please don't
number
tip me by
23
reading it in an iTunes review. Give us an iTunes.
in a positive iTunes.
We're almost at 50.
iTunes review.
iTunes reviews.
Damn, hell yeah.
We're 2 away.
We're only 2 away. Oh,
You know what? If you
feel
didn't
like we
comment it on the group or on the main page, which is over 100,000
thank you for
fans, like that's
helping us get there.
that's pretty cool.
Appreciate
So
everyone
like,
here.
if 2% of you would just give us a review, that'd be like
23%. The number 23 would really be amazing.
Hey, that'd be something.
All right.
Okay, we also got here David Warren from The Omen. The man has an amazing voice and always plays villains very, very well. Especially he was in the Waxworks movies.
Yep.
That was from Alejandro. Let's see here. Is there any other good ones here? So, Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. That's a good surprise. Actually, a couple Tropic Thunder answers. In there.
Wow.
It's a good movie. So yeah, no, those are all great answers.
That's cool. We had a couple pop in where we had this is interesting. So it says anything involving Sam Rockwell,
He's got a lot of range.
which yeah, I mean, does he though? I feel like he's
Nah, I mean, I looked up a list before we recorded. I was like, actors have wide ranges, and he was definitely.
he was
on there. Yeah.
No, I love Sam Rockwell. I just feel like he's always playing the quirky. Like I don't feel like
I see what you're saying though. Like, it's not like a Tilda Swinton where it's like she's a fucking chameleon, and you're like, wait a minute, that's Tilda Swinton. Whenever you see him, you're always like, oh, there he
yeah,
is.
no, you're right. I'm a hypocrite. That was wrong. Okay, and then no, now that I think about it,
Well, if you compare it, so like if you compare it from like Jojo Rabbit to Three Billboards, like that's a pretty good range.
well, yeah, you're right. I forgot about this fucking Jojo Rabbit. He was like
He was
bouncing
really
all
funny
over.
in that one.
All right, it's cool. And then we got
He was also in the Ninja Turtles movie, the first one,
oh, that's right.
like first hot second.
Hello Weekly, not spooky. Jenny Bennett says not spooky, but Passengers for Chris Pratt. I just wanted to bring this up because we had talked about this on episode once. All his characters before that were just goofy or jockey guys without a lot of emotional work. Watching him break down during a suicide attempt showed true talent, in my opinion. Agreed.
Hey.
I found, as we discussed, Passengers surprisingly watchable. So thank you for all the answers and
those were great.
participating. We already did the iTunes review thing.
Oh, but I'll do it again.
Now
At the end. Don't you think I won't?
I'm just really excited to see who spoils number 23 for you and how they do it. I'm trying to think of the shortest way to explain it.
Or they could just lie to me. Like, it could be something so good.
How do you think I got these scars?
Yeah, they'll be like, I'm like, what's that to do with the number 23? And then I'll really never know. Like, someone could write something so sophisticated that I believe it's it, and then I'm on my deathbed, and then someone like goes like, hey Siri, what's the number 23 about? And then I like right before Siri says it, I pass. And I never. I hope that's not how I die.
I like that little Black Mirror episode that just unspooled.
Yeah, that's kind of depressing.
In real time.
Rock and roll.
Out of your head. You should. Good.
I'm gonna put in a splat noise in post. They'll hear it.
Okay, good.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous. All right.
This came out last year, 2020.
Oh, I didn't know it was that.
Great year for a lot of people.
Wow.
What a fun time.
Right.
The year that lasted 10 years.
Yes.
Alex discovered it through TikTok. Someone posted a scene from it, and she was like, we should watch this. And I was like, what is this? Saw the clip. let's watch it.
That's so weird because that's what when I was watching, I was like, this is the first movie made out of TikToks. It's the first time I felt like it was TikTok stitched together into a movie.
So spontaneous, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's about spontaneous combustion. No, not combustion.
Spontaneous eruptions.
They blow up.
Scanner style, except for not just the head, everything.
Everything goes. And it's only happening to this
We should do spoiler free and just talk about it, right, though? Right? Because it's brand new? Or is it not brand new? I don't know.
I mean,
if it's not brand new, then we have to spoil it.
It's a year old, and it's a Hulu original, so it's not like a big thing.
There will be spoilers.
A group of high school seniors start to just combust. Blow up. Yeah, and
explode.
Yeah, explode. But there's no like fire in there. Like their bodies just pop like a balloon.
Totally.
Blood splatters everywhere, and they cannot figure out why the hell it's happening.
Right.
And then they just try to live their lives and figure it out. And it's got some really good scenes in there. Like it's starring. I need to look up her name, but she was the main girl in 13 Reasons Why. She was also in Knives Out recently, and she's very, very good.
She was fantastic, although she cannot convincingly act drunk. But other than that, she was fantastic. She's fantastic otherwise, but
no. What I really liked about this movie, like from the get, is that because anyone can just pop at any time, you really don't have time to like kick back in your seat. And they do and they knew this making the movie that they could just twist the audience's balls whenever they wanted to, and they did it. There was so many moments. There's a few when you know someone's gonna pop, someone's gonna blow up, and then there's a few times where you're like, okay, someone just went. So we're gonna have some time, and someone blows up again. You're like, well, God, Jesus Christ, movie.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's if you were like if they did one of those things where they did all the shots in like a color spectrum, right, of this movie, and you looked at where the splatters are, it would have been put together by like a sadistic mastermind. They'd be all in the pace of them would be like a mind fuckery.
Yeah,
right. For sure.
No, but even just the setup of it is great. Like they're in class, and I think she like knocks a pencil off her desk, and the camera pans down with the main girl we're following, and all of a sudden you see blood everywhere, and everyone just starts screaming. Like that's how the movie starts, and it's that unpredictable the whole way through.
There is a lot of this movie that is not horror, right? There's a lot of this movie that's rom-com. So it's right. So it's if you're I don't want people who haven't seen it. If you go into it expecting like that you're watching Carrie, you're not.
No, it's very YA. Like
it's very YA Final Destination.
YA Final Destination is like the perfect way to describe it,
right? But with more like if you put a really young version of like the Mulder Scully relationship and like YA. Final Destination, it would be this movie, right? So, first of all, here's the thing. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about this movie. I think it's the first movie I've seen where I'm like, I'm just not qualified to talk about this because I think that there are things going on here that have to do with what it's like to grow up feeling like there can just be random violence anywhere in your life at any given moment, right? That kind of dread and paranoia. And there's something very specific that this movie is grappling with in terms of that. That's really interesting. Like right, but it's told in the vocabulary of people who are so young, and so clearly doing it the way that they would do it, right? But like some of that just blindingly doesn't make sense to me, right? So that was interesting. I loved it. I actually loved how it was put together. I loved how they were pacing it, and I loved that they didn't pull punches with the gore when there was gore.
There's great gore moments,
right?
too.
But there was impact to it. There's actually this movie. So this is like, you know. All right, let me talk to the horror fans for a second. You know how like you get this sentimental moment when like you see a progression of Jason masks and you realize the dent in Jason mask down here came from the first time in part 3, and now it's deeper and dirtier in part 7. And you're like, that brings you back to like the first time you saw it, and like, you know, like we're like There's a memento that the main character, the actress, who's spectacular by the way in this movie, she has of someone that she cares about. There's a memento she has, and the way she gets it and the way it leaves a mark on her,
right,
is incredibly.
Well, the first death definitely leaves a mark on her.
Well,
on
right.
Her shoes.
Well, I'm gonna talk about that for a second, but it's incredibly emotional,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a way to do gore, but also have it be meaningful, which is not easy to do. This movie is actually defter at doing that than a lot of movies that are like the Ready or Nots or whatever that think they're doing it, but they're not. Right, right. This movie's doing a better job of that. I had some problems with it, but like that part of it, I thought was spectacular.
It's also got a lot of Heathers. Like
It's got a very Heather's DNA. It's interesting because one of the things that really was cool about it, first of all, there's a scene where the main actress lays down on dirt with another actress. Haunting. It's just a haunting.
When she asked, "Are you okay?" and she just kind of like,
yeah, the whole thing,
was...
like that scene was so hard to pull off. I actually chuckled when they were heading for it. I'm like, they're not going to do this, right? They're not going to lay them down here and then have them like in a weird, almost like couples.
Well, it's
like
fun, it's
body
fun.
language.
Also because there's a Halloween like thing, and she dresses up as Carrie,
right?
And then she goes to like lay on the grave, and you even brought up like, well, if they're gonna do a Carrie homage, this is the place to do it on a freshly dug grave.
So they got you on edge, but also like emotionally invested, and like I mean, it's pretty damn good. What they're pulling off there is pretty damn good. There's some really clumsy, cliched shit that happens. The thing is, I feel like I would have liked this movie if it had been stranger. I just don't think it was strange enough. I think what it did was it reserved all of its strange for the couple places it knew it needed it.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a camel storing water in its hump. It was like, I'm gonna get across this desert. And the getting across the desert is getting a movie made, getting producers to agree that you're going to do X and Y radical thing. Like you're only going to win so many fights with the money people. The actors aren't going to want to like be unsympathetic, right? Like you have all these fights to get a movie made, like whatever. And they were like, we're going to do something really radical that the audience is going to hate. And we know it. So we can't alienate them over here and over here and over here because we know we're going to hugely alienate them over here. So they like laid off and gave us like kind of like schmutz, like just like scenes I wouldn't remember where, you know, like, or they went too long or they were saying that shit was just corny or like whatever.
That's why I liked it, because they had those types of scenes with the caveat of at any moment.
True.
That's true. So you never, even though there were scenes where like they were, you know, quote, boring where they were talking.
Right.
You still it's that Hitchcock thing. There's a 5-minute timer with a bomb on, you know, like it was that at any moment.
Yeah, that's the good point.
They could have done it. It also, what I love is the I love when a movie like trains an audience to like hear something. Like I saw a TikTok of, whenever you hear like a dog barking in a film, sometimes a lot of times bad stuff happens afterwards because it's like an omen of something happening.
Sure,
it was
that's cool.
It was. I think the trend was like, what's something once you see it in a film you can't unsee it.
That's cool.
And dogs barking is one of them. This movie, it sort of, you know what we were talking about with when cats hear Temptations they run. This movie did the same thing with the sound effect of people blowing up. It's a very distinctive noise when someone gets blown up in this movie. It's like,
and you feel like you get hit.
Yes,
you feel like you're getting hit.
And you
it's weird how they do it.
You immediately start like mentally like trying to like look around on frame like who just went, because it could have been anyone at any
so
moment.
It's really interesting you say that because one of the terrifying and interesting things about V2 rockets, to bring this back to the Nazis, it was the first supersonic weapon. So it was particularly terrifying to London, or everywhere in England it was getting hit. Because it was the first time in human history, in all of history, like since cave people, right? That like you blew up and then heard the sound after.
Yeah.
Right? And that was happening in this movie. We would lose a character and the camera would swivel around and we wouldn't know who the character was.
Everyone's looking around.
There'd be a sound and then you would turn around and you'd see their shoes and recognize their shoes. And then the realization of who went would come after the sound. They were already gone by the time you got like whatever. It was like reverse, or it was fucked up and kind of great.
And the way they use, you know, people blowing up in certain situations, like I won't spoil like what I think is the best like blow up?
That makes me mad because it makes me want to know which one you think is the best. Because I know which one.
Okay. We'll do mild spoilers. If you're not sold on this movie by now, chances are you probably will never get around to it. But if you are, skip around.
Right.
Because then after this, we'll just. Actually, before I send off you people who don't want spoilers, let me put iTunes review.
Yes.
5 stars. Tell me what number 27 is about, please.
Number 23.
Number 23.
Please don't tell what number 27 is.
Tell me what number 34.
Number 27 was the sequel. Number 23, the number franchise that was going to be legendary.
Pick a number, any number. I don't give a shit. Just write something in a review.
All right.
It'd mean the world to us. Okay, spoilers.
Okay, spoilers.
So, I know which one you think,
You do?
but I'm gonna let you.
Mine's really obvious.
Is it it's the guy with the hat?
It's the guy.
Yeah, the guy who keeps asking for his lawyer.
No. It's the guy, the main guy.
Oh, that was good.
Because
it was the most different
way
visually
they did
too.
it. Right. And the way they did it was, it's so obvious because it was clearly leading up to that visual.
Yeah.
And you kind of know that's what that would look like if that was going to happen.
So
and then
explain,
they do it, and as soon as you see it, you're like, yeah, that's what that was going to look like. And that was a really cool, creepy moment because it realized it's one of those times, like movies don't usually do this to me. I realized I had been wondering what that would look like, but hadn't consciously known I'd been wondering what that would look like until they did.
It's what it would have looked like if you were in Ready or Not when they all start blowing up.
Yeah.
So the visual for the people listening is our main character is with her boyfriend. They become BFF, and you kind of know that someone's gonna blow up here.
I didn't at all.
I knew.
I did not at all.
You went out.
I even turned to you halfway through, and I'm like, they're not gonna blow up one of the iconic couple people of the movie because they probably think this is gonna be some kind of fucked up franchise or whatever. And who would do that? It's not like you're gonna. I mean, it's not like you start like Harry Potter by killing Hermione or something. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It'd be a lot cooler if they did. No.
But go ahead.
So the visual so they're standing there outside of a barn. It's like after prom or something like that, I think. Mm-hmm. And they're talking, and then all of a sudden, it's like the camera does a lot of this cool. I actually said there was a scene that reminded me of Silence of the Lambs when they were all wearing the gray suits after the first person gets blown up and they're at the police station.
Definitely.
But they do a lot of the Silence of the Lambs, like talking to the camera.
They do.
Type stuff. Which
There's
is really,
some actual homage stuff to horror in it. You can tell that.
Yeah. And so it keeps going from the boyfriend's POV to the girl's POV, and then it goes to the girl's POV, and then all of a sudden there's just red dripping off the screen, and he's gone. And
yeah, but there's not. I mean, the first thing
gone.
you see, right? The sound's gone. They flashbang you, right?
Yeah.
And the sound's gone. It's like the whiteout thing. When we say it, it's not going to do justice to how good it is. The impact of it is really good. But the thing I particularly liked about it was there was no dripping at first. It was just red. Then it started dripping. But they did the process. They thought through
how it would look if
I mean, I guarantee you there was a day there where they just threw fucking blood at a camera lens at like 200 miles per hour. Right, and then they realized that at first all you see is red. You don't see texture or light or like whatever. And I love that they did that.
It was. I mean, for a movie that we're saying is like a YA horror film, it has some really gross visuals. So there's 2 other scenes that I thought were my favorite. So there's the one where the guy. There's this kid who keeps asking for his lawyer when they're being held at this like medical place to test a drug that they call it the snooze button.
Yeah.
Which definitely only works as a snooze button.
Yes.
So they send these kids back to school, which is also really weird because like a bunch of kids
that's one of the problems I
blow
have.
up in this movie. Yeah, it's very weird.
They keep returning to school
after kids have blown up. It's very
when it clearly school is the only common thread of anything that's happening.
So the kid, he's wearing like a BMX, like a motocross helmet, like all the pads and gear. And he's like basically ducked. He looks like nothing.
He made his own astronaut shoes. He like Mark Watney'd it up. He was like the Martian.
So like kids wouldn't like blow up and get on him. The problem was, and I won't ruin the scene where it happened. Like I'll tell you where he dies, but because like that scene's very intense. It feels like Saving Private Ryan.
It
a
does.
little bit.
It does.
Anyways, he blows up. He blows up, and he looks like oh my god, who's the guy from Roger Rabbit when he gets ran over?
Judge Doom.
Judge Doom. He looks like Judge Doom when he gets rolled over. So he's in this big suit, and then when he blows up, and he just kind of like falls, and you just see his his shirt's flat, and there's this goo inside. My favorite though,
yes,
was when they're at the facility testing this for the snooze button. They're sleeping on like it's sleeping bags, and it shows them all sleeping. And then this one bag just goes. It's like a popcorn bag. It just goes. It just fills up with blood, and then the girl next to her wakes up and just starts screaming.
It's unbelievable.
It is a crazy movie. It is such a crazy concept that I think
it's really well executed where it's not really clumsy. It's fascinating to me. It makes me wonder if it's going to be the Heathers of its time. It's definitely built to be something that would be like reaction video 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Right? Because like the suspense is going to be knowing when things are going to happen, and then watching people who don't know when things are going to happen.
I would
watch it. Would be fascinating already, right?
On my messages, I want to go back and see the TikTok Alex sent me and see what those kids are saying, because that's like the Gen Z crowd. Right. I wonder what they're saying about the
but that's the thing is I don't think even no matter regardless of what they're saying, I don't think it takes time for movies to place themselves and get like a true assessment, right? So like I wonder if this one is one of those that'll make it, because it's definitely like high concept, really well executed, has the weird things. It's almost too well done. That's the thing is I just didn't feel like it was weird enough. I feel like, Heathers, there are things that are just absolutely inexplicable in Heathers. I feel like everything here sort of has an explanation. And that's both good and bad. Like maybe Heathers was too random, and this is better for. Just one thing, real quick. I found it haunting how similar what was happening, because the movie is definitely nihilistic, right? The movie's nihilistic in the way the only angry like 19-year-olds can be, right? Like the movie has the attitude of its protagonist, right? So like it's written from that point of view, it messages from that point of view. So this movie doesn't believe in shit. It tells you on the way out that it doesn't believe in shit, right?
Yeah.
And it gives you both fingers on the way out with the non-plot twist, right? So like if we know that this movie doesn't even believe in us because it gave us the biggest fuck you it could on the way out in terms of paying off the plot of explaining why the shit happened, right? So it did that, right? So you've got a movie that's kind of hostile to you, but what's fascinating to me is it was like really weirdly emotional. Like it really weirdly had heart in like very strange places that made it awesome.
Right.
Right. I don't know how it managed to be hostile and still pull off the good stuff, but it did. So
yeah, no, I thought it was weird enough in places. I keep thinking like comparing it to like Slither for some reason.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Like I always think of Slither as this like kind of weird from outer space horror film that just kind of came out of nowhere, and it has like its own place. I feel like this kind of has its own place because like they did a lot of really cool stuff for like addressing, like looking at the camera, addressing the audience, and then like just kind of using it wherever they needed. I don't know. I thought it was weird enough. I think it might hold up.
I don't know. I mean, it could be a classic for all I know. I think it's really well done. It's strange. The strange part to me is that when you have a movie that's brave enough to do the birds at you. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock had to earn that. Like he had to get his whole career to the point where he could just end a movie and be like, birds.
Right.
Right. Like it was just the birds. Like, I mean, that still bothers people to this day. Right. And this movie does that. Right. So like the movie's like, we're going to do something that most movies can't get away with. Right. But in between that, when the couples were talking, they were framed exactly the way I thought they would be. They were framed with like the twinkle lights outside and like whatever. They would say things like, did you notice we stopped walking? Like where you're like, I knew you were gonna say, like you're all saying things that you would say, and I'm like, why is the movie like super edgy over here, and then super conventional over here, or am I just misseeing it? Right, like that was what I was wondering. Was
I didn't get any of that. I don't know.
So you bought the whole relationship scenes and like
I bought it because
the friendship scenes, because the friendship. Her and her best friend scene, I never bought. I didn't feel like they cared about each other at all.
There were times where she did forget about like her best friend, like a little bit. But like also like I mean, they're 17 in the movie, and like 17-year-olds are just fucking weird. like I was weird when I was 17.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, so it's not like super far fetched to think that high schoolers are annoying.
Are weird, right? No, I get it. I get that they're being weird and random, but the movie's making choices about what to show us, right? And like, there were other teenagers making other choices, but the teenagers we were following, the main character was, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard. Maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Well, she was trying. I think what the film was trying to get at was she was obviously trying to like numb out a lot. Like in the beginning of the movie, she was doing shrooms, and then when everyone started running, she started stealing, like, which is really weird because the whole town knew about these teenagers. So she would steal alcohol from like the store, just like she would just grab 2 bottles and walk out, and they would just look at her because they're like, she's gonna fucking blow up. I ain't touching her. I ain't touching her.
And they thought she was possibly contagious, which was a cool twist.
But I think the whole thing was that she was trying to numb out and not.
Well, like
feel
any
anything.
Final Destination hero, they all do that. They all lose all their friends, and gradually they get the eye circles, and they start to drink. And
she came to the realization of like, well, if it's gonna happen, like, we'll just let it happen. Like, I'm just gonna live my life and fuck this. If I blow up, I blow up, but I'm not gonna let it control me.
Right. Yeah, I get that. But the thing I'm saying is that I felt like that I had a cool horror movie with a really cool concept, and I had a relationship from This Is Us randomly inserted in it, and I couldn't figure out why the tone of it was like that there when the other stuff was toned the other way. Right? Like, the relationship at the center of Heathers is the Christian Slater character and the Winona Ryder character.
Right.
And they're both super strange. But in this one, the main character, the actress, is, I guess she's sort of strange. She makes unconventional choices. She shocks the people around her, right?
Yeah.
But the boyfriend is just sweet and supportive and then dies. Like, it just felt so, like, pointless.
Life comes at you fast. That's the only explanation I got. That's the only explanation I
got. But maybe that was that. Maybe that's on purpose. Right?
I feel like, but I see what you say. Like there was tonal shifts, but I felt like what they did with the tonal shifts of the film, and I bet if we went back and rewatched it, they're all judged by whether or not someone's about to blow up or not.
I think you're right, and I think if you add the tension of that's running through this whole thing, that's part of what makes it great. It's like, so insofar, a lot of people hate Donnie Darko, but as insofar as Donnie Darko works for anyone, right? It only works because of the atmosphere. It works because at some point you were drunk or high, or it was 3 a.m, or you fell asleep watching a movie and you woke up and all of a sudden you're looking at this creepy purple color in a bunny suit, and it took you someplace else that no other movie's going to take you, right? Like, and this movie felt like it was going to do that. Like, it was going to, we're going to show you things that no other movie's going to show you. We're going to take you a place no one's going to take you, except when we're hanging out with the friends or the couples, and then we're just going to show you the same shit that every other Hallmark movie or teen movie or whatever movie's ever going to show you, right? If you think to like Shudder's Revenge, right? Those characters are interesting and edgy, and you're learning interesting things about them. Even though the girl's the same age, you're learning all these interesting, like, intimidating, like, facts about, like, in this one we're learning that this guy's super cool and that he's really supportive and that he, like, you know, likes the same movie she does. Like,
see, I thought that was a byproduct of it just being an indie film.
I'm
like
sure,
one of those quirky,
right,
you know, kind of Juno-y.
Sure, but there was a lot of that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, a lot of it with people blowing up between.
Yeah, it's just a weird combo, right?
It is
like,
weird.
It's like blood and chocolate.
It is a weird.
It's, right, like
Hershey's is gonna start selling that. Blood and chocolate. No, I can see why you bumped on it. I didn't bump on it as much. We both enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, love the movie. The only problems I had with it, I didn't buy the friendship at all, unfortunately, and I also hated the ending. I hated the whole. Like, literally, the message of this movie is told to you like in 20 variations at the end. It's all variations of "fuck you," "I'm gonna do what I want." Nothing means anything. Everything's bullshit. Fuck you, some more, like whatever.
It
Like
was a little
it's like it's a lot of that on the way out the door, right?
Yeah.
All at once. Like for some reason, like a fireworks, like a display, the way they do.
That's like a middle finger.
The finale,
fireworks.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like that was the way the movie necessarily should have ended. I got that she had that Bonnie and Clyde energy, but
Right.
then I was told 20 different times she was Bonnie and Clyde. I'm like, all right, she's Bonnie
Driving
and
her
Clyde.
ice cream truck.
Right, exactly. So that was a little obvious, and then the only other like issue I guess is like the thing you were saying about I suspended a lot of disbelief, but I just could not suspend disbelief because the scenes were so good. The movie fucked itself. The Saving Private Ryan sequence,
Yeah.
which is incredible,
Yeah.
like it's just a great like if they built a haunt for that, I would pay triple what I pay to get into Universal just to experience that haunt because it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
The execution of it is great, right? But like that's you do that scene to us, which is like this incredible moment, and then you segue to this other like crap, and I just like this one's so exciting. I don't know. Everything else was amazing.
The only thing I bumped on was that they kept trying to get the kids back in school.
Well, I mean, obviously the school should be closed. Like,
Well,
wait.
they kept saying like we just got to get these kids to graduate. Like for some reason, graduation was the goal, and I was like, well, if graduation is the goal. Like you can just move it up. You can just a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Hand these kids a
actually,
fake diploma, and
you reminded me. I'm leaving out like a really good part of this movie. There was a lot of subtlety. True, they didn't pay off like the explanation, which was like whatever. But there was a lot of subtlety at the end where there was these haunting moments where it was like, "So is it over? Do you think it's over?" And then people would turn to each other and like, "Is it over?" And it was the horror movie cliche of, "Is the monster dead? Is it over?" But they like stretched it out and made it slower and spookier, like because you just didn't know if it was over, and the characters didn't know, and they knew they didn't know, but they were still trying to pretend they knew. So they're like buying each other's explanations. Like, I think so. Oh, okay, good.
they're like, it was my fault. It happened. I cheated on my test. I'm like, no, it was my fault. I stole from whatever.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I think the way they did that was really good. I think it was a great way to kind of make the characters deal with the fact that they couldn't even medicate or protect themselves. No one could figure out the pattern.
Would you have hated the movie if at the end of it she goes, you just have to hold your middle finger up and say, fuck you, life. I'm gonna well, would you be mad at that?
I mean, if they did it the way they did it, I would have been mad all the way around. But like, no, I think I love that they couldn't kill her. I would,
Right.
that would, no,
That'd be really
no,
bad.
no, they couldn't do that. That would be what they did with fucking Dark and the Wicked, right? It was all pointless.
Oh god,
So-
we didn't even tell them about us watching that.
So no, I'm glad they didn't do that. No, I actually am glad they Janet Leigh psychoed the boyfriend. I'm glad that they
Right.
had her live. I'm really down with everything except for the fact that they didn't have an explanation for it, and in lieu of the explanation, their message was life sucks and then you die.
The movie should have ended with them lighting you a cigarette. Hand reaches out for the TV. Goes, here you go. Think about that for a minute. You're just like, all right, sure, you got it. But I recommend checking it out. It's on Hulu right now, so it's if you got Hulu, it's free $99.
It's super enjoyable, and even though no one, we spoiled the shit out of it, so like no one who's listening to it is
Well, if they're like me, they're probably like, well, no, I gotta watch it. It's like me with the Exorcism of Emily Rose. I hear there's a scene where she contorts her face. It got cut out. Well, now I gotta see this.
I gotta see.
How scary could it possibly be?
But it's a rewatch movie. There's no way I'm never rewatching this movie. It's
I'm
like,
definitely gonna rewatch
I felt the
this.
way I felt about Little Monsters. I knew I was gonna rewatch that movie within a year, and I did.
I would definitely rewatch this. What we keep calling, and for people listening, you'll know the Saving Private Ryan scene. It is. It has that level of energy in a YA horror movie.
And they built to that. They knew that they had to pull that off,
and it comes right when you get comfortable.
and they did it right. Like
And it's not just like pop. It's
Right, no, and it's a total testament to the cast, right? Like all their reactions, we were buying that they were going through that. Like it was really well done.
Yeah, check it out. Let us know what you think. That's it. That's the episode.
That's it.
You know, it'd be really good if you're listening to this. It's a Friday afternoon. You're about to watch some horror movies. You're rounding out the podcast, and you're just about ready to close your Apple app. And you're just about ready to swipe up, or if you're on Android, get a new phone.
Wow,
that's not gonna. We're not getting any Android reviews on that one.
Yeah, I see that.
5-star reviews. Let us know if you watch this movie, if you like it, who you think is a good actor. Yeah, we're back, consistent, 2 weeks in a row.
That's right. We're
We need a medal.
spontaneously disciplined.
That we are.
That
we are. Till next time, stay scary, watch a bunch of horror movies. See you next week on time.
Bye, guys.